a small business brand or you're a home-based maker, most probably iniisip mo na kung sasali ka ba sa event nito, if you want to reach more audience, or if you have like an additional platform to sell your products. Malamang kino-consider mo na kung sasali ka sa mga fairs. And that is exactly what we want to talk about for today's episode. Kaya naman, ang guests natin for today's episode is we have Don and Jacob.
Hi, I'm Don, the artist behind Studio Dondon. Studio Dondon is a stationery brand, so we're selling stickers, washi tapes, and we're also selling anik-aniks like keychains and mobile grips.
Hi, I'm Jacob Ferrer. I'm one of the organizers of the Lots of Local Market. We stand to create a market as an avenue for local fashion labels and creatives to have a way to display their products on a larger scale. And we do so by having monthly or bi-monthly events for these opportunities.
So if you're watching this episode and you are preparing for your next pop-up, this is something that might be very helpful for you if you're starting out or if you just want to improve your pop-up game or kahit veterano ka na and you want to level up your bazaar experience, there is something that you might learn from this episode. So stick around. For those who are new here, Common Room PH is a shared retail and digital space for over 200 Filipino makers and artists. If you're looking for unique locally made products, we have branches in Power Plant Mall, UP Town Center, Alabang Town Center, Ayala Malls, Manila Bay, and the Atrium of Makati. Especially after the pandemic, no, where everyone was locked in, when the world opened up, suddenly ang daming pop-ups, which is a good thing kasi nagkakaroon tayo ng platform for makers to really showcase their products. Pero parang every weekend, every month na lang, may specific theme for a pop-up and bazaar, and ang daming pwedeng salihan. So the first challenge is, how do you even choose the events that you can join? Sabi mo kanina, last year, sinalihan mong events ay?
42 events.
Okay, so parang wala kang pinili. Lahat sinalihan mo.
Yeah. Tinetest ko kasi yung mga markets ng events.
Medyo ang dami siya. Parang feeling ko napagod ako for you. Looking back at the conventions and the 42 fairs that you joined last year, where did you even begin in the process of actually choosing which events to say yes to and which ones to deprioritize?
For the events, or this year, mas smarter na kami pumili ng events. So, since na naka 42 events kami, may data na kami kung ano doon yung parang mga okay, so mga hindi masyadong okay. For that, karoon na kami ng metrics or things na i-consider bago kami sumali ng events. And I think I have 3 things na i-consider ko bago ako sumali ng event. Yung number 1 is yung the event itself. I-check mo kung bagong event lang ba ito or i-check mo din yung reputation ng event. Second is the location. You need to consider location din kasi kino-consider namin talaga yung location, kung malayo ba siya sa amin or pwede ba siyang i-grab. So, syempre yung fee din ng Grab kasama yun sa business cost. I-check mo din kung ano bang location na yun. Mall ba siya, indoor, outdoor. And also, the last one is yung booth expenses. I-check mo kung baka reasonable ba yung price. I-check mo din yung magiging revenue mo. Dapat meron kang target na sales for that event.
So, parang collect and collect before you select. Parang ganun ba siya? Okay. I think that's a good practice, especially if you have the budget for it. A lot of the businesses naman, they have limited resources, so they can't join like maybe for all 42. Even if you don't join the event yet, you can ask fellow makers or yung mga friends nyo. So, it's really important na they can give you feedback. So, even if hindi ka pa nakakasali doon, medyo may idea ka na. I guess to switch the question naman to Jacob. As someone na like meron ng 10 events in barely a year of running lots of local, from the POV of an organizer, what do you think are the important things this a vendor should look at when they're considering an event?
I think a major thing to do before trying to apply for one is obviously like the research itself. You have to understand if your product is like in the correct niche for this market, or if you feel like that this market is a good platform for you to display what you have to offer.
Curious ako kasi sabi ni Don kanina na it's important na the reputation of the event, diba? Kasi syempre, over the years, the more events na na-hold nila, medyo alam na nila yung galawan talaga, what works for an event or a particular location or the type of theme that you have. Pero I guess, from your POV, kasi bago pa yung lots of lokal eh.
Yes.
How did you hurdle that challenge na parang how do you entice vendors to actually join a relatively new concept or brand title for an event like that?
A major selling point is some of the locations that we choose. We try to choose locations that are easy to go to in popular areas. So we do a lot of events in the Alabang area or in Makati. These locations are really frequented by most people. So it's not like they have to go out of their way to attend an event. You won't have to plan around the event. It can just be a stop in your day.
But malaking factor din yung yung natural foot traffic.
Yes.
Na parang you don't have to actively promote it kasi parang you can just hold an event there. I mean, of course, there's still marketing and you guys are really good at that. Pero the fact na kahit merong lang napadaan dun sa event na yon, it's something that you can already maengganyo sila to go to your event. Especially yung mga events nyo, wala silang diba? Door charge? Or
None.
Na-mention mo kanina that it's very important to do your research. Pero was there an event na even if you did your research and parang alam mo naman na parang market ko naman to, the event didn't really hit the target of your goals for that event?
Yeah, may mga ganong events. Kahit yung mga parang known na para magiging successful yung events, turns out parang iba, parang nag-fail siya. Siguro dahil iba-iba rin yung factor. Pag ganon, pwedeng hindi talaga season. Titingnan mo rin yung season. For example, this quarter, ito yung mga season na medyo slow yung sales, yung mga events. So, i-check mo din yon. And also, kasi katatapos lang nung bare months eh. Pero yon, so iba-iba lang din yung factor nun. And syempre, you trust the process din na hindi naman siya parate. Ang business kasi erratic siya eh. May ups and downs. So, hindi mo naman laging isipin na lagi kang bebenta. And that's the reason why na dapat nagsisave ka for your business. May kasabihan nga, di ba? Hindi araw-araw Pasko. During the Pasko moment ng business mo, mag-save ka talaga kasi may mga times talaga na medyo slow.
For the two of you, para Miss Universe question, if you're talking to people or meron tayong viewers na hindi pa sure kung sasali ba sila sa event na yon, like what are the first few steps that they can take to really jump the gun and like sign up for that event?
Siguro number one, yung start small. Lagi yon sa mga businesses. Don't think na dapat nasa big fair ka kaagad. Test the water muna. Para matest mo din kung yung product mo is fit sa ganitong market. First kasi na goal sa mga business is to stay muna. I-build mo muna yung brand. So medyo later na yung nag-earn talaga yung profit eh.
Yeah, I think on my end, it's like if you're just starting out, you should also have that mindset that you shouldn't be so afraid to take the risk. Because like if you don't ever join a pop-up, you won't know like how to move from that point further on. Yeah, try to start out, try to learn about like how a pop-up works and all, and see if moving forward you'd be open to joining more pop-ups. Yeah.
Kasi imagine if before you even got to the 42 pop-ups or the 10 events that you organized, you started with one. And I'm sure the first event that you joined, ang dami nyo ng learnings dun pa lang. Siguro swerte na first event nyo, everything was a hit. Pero you kind of think of it na every event is like a testing ground or iterative process. Like, I remember nung na-start kami sa Pop Junk Club, ang dami naming biniling displays kasi we didn't know what was gonna work. And dun lang namin nalaman sa event itself, hindi pala nag-work yung ganitong racks. Kasi when we started Pop Junk Club, we started selling shirts. Pero, dinisplay namin siya sa rack. Pero, ang pinaka-design kasi is the brooches that we made. Nandun siya sa clothes rack. Hindi rin siya nakikita. So, parang, baka people are not buying kasi they don't see naman the design. So, the next event that we joined is, lahat naman ng design is naka-flat. Pero parang, wala kaming nice way na i-display siya. So, sinipit lang namin. So, ang pangit tignan. So, parang, okay, nakikita yung design, pero ang tsaka nung clips natin. So, on the third event, we tested it out again. Of course, it's always gonna be a learning process. It's good that if you are testing your setup even before you actually go to the fair. Pero, I think that's what you get from joining eh. You can just have theories, but if you don't really go out and just put yourself out there in the event, hindi mo lang talaga siya malalaman. Sige, transition tayo. So the first one is, of course, when you choose the right event for you, ang kailangan talaga dun, guys, is mag-apply kayo. So, kasi kung hindi din talaga kayo matututo, diba? So now that you applied, now you're able to choose the event that you want to try. And of course, parang think of it always as like as a learning experience, no? Hindi lahat ng events patok sa takilya, diba? And ang next step is really about setting up your booth. Because your booth is your brand. Yun yung magmi-make ng first impression talaga. Ano yung mga characteristics of a booth design that makes you really say na, oh, that booth will really stand out?
There's a lot of instances where I think that. So we've worked with, just as an example, we've worked with some local outdoor clothing brands, and they really take the time to decorate their booth. So they use a lot of fake grass, ganon. So they really match the theme of their clothing brand to the niche that they're in.
Yeah.
So we feel like when you take an approach that way, na you're really making the vibe of your booth related to your niche.
Yeah.
We feel like that makes it a lot more inviting even on the customer side. Like you'd want to approach this booth because wow, they're really taking the time to decorate their booth in a way that's showcasing the niche of their product and creating a vibe around their product.
Important na you're not just displaying your merchandise, but you're actually eliciting a feeling, a theme that the customers can really like understand what your brand is all about. That is a really good thing, especially if you have the space for it. Pero Don, tanong ko naman sa'yo, like how do you balance yung pag-display ng mga products mo in such a way na you're really showing off your items, your products, and eliciting that vibe? Paano mo siya ibabalance in a table space?
Unang-una, medyo maliit lang talaga ako gumawa ng table setup kasi number one, I don't have a car, so nagko-commute ako. So parang pina-factor in ko din kung ano yung mga dadalhin ko. Kasi ang focus is more on small na parang setup but functional. So yung sa akin ginagawa ko, medyo impactful yung setup dapat. Ang una ko kasing natutunan early on sa pag-setup ng table is yung visual branding. Paano magsi-set up yung big brand ng table. So hindi ko iniisip na small business ako. So iniisip ko na dapat professional yung look. Even the tablecloth, pinaplansya ko talaga siya before ko ilalagay. So, yun.
Ang ganda nung sinabi mo na you design for impact, diba? It's functional, pero dapat ang dami yung kailangan i-balance. Showcasing yung merchandise, but it has to represent your brand well. But at the same time, it has to be functional for you also kasi dapat nakakagalaw ka sa kanya. Pero dapat ma-maximize mo yung space. Usually, sa mga events nyo ba, Jacob, like, how do you go about planning a space like that for your merchants?
Okay, so with regards to some of like the clothing brands, we try to give them their own area. We try to lay out the format in a way that, you can tell that this is a local creative, they have their own table space, and then these are the clothing brands. Na we try to separate it so they don't really like clash, but still try to make it cohesive in one roof naman. Yeah.
Spatial assignments is very important. Not just for the merchants na parang they get to stand out but still be parang accessible to the right audience, pero for the buyers also kasi alam nila na ito yung ma-expect nila from that aisle. Right. So you guys mentioned about like how important it is to create a booth that stands out and make an impact, diba? Whether it's something that's really aligned with your branding or it really gives off like a feeling or a lifestyle na parang inviting talaga for your customers. Pero what if on the day itself, like naset up mo na siya, maganda naman tignan, you kind of feel that it's really not working? Meron ka bang ganong experience, and maybe how did you go about it? Did you adjust it on the spot or?
Dapat talaga flexible tayo kasi lalo na hindi lang dapat puro aesthetic. So minsan
hindi lang puro aesthetic?
Yeah, hindi lang puro aesthetic, dapat functional siya. Okay. So sometimes hindi mo na rin control kasi minsan control mo yung table mo, but sometimes yung mga katabi mong table, hindi mo sila control. And sometimes they have big setup. So minsan obstruction siya kung may dadaan sa side na to, tapos hindi ka na makikita. Ang ginagawa ko minsan, parang chini-change ko na lang yung layout para mas makikita ng customers yung mas malaki ko na setup, like the pegboard. So minsan hindi siya okay sa akin, pero okay siya sa business. Isa-set aside mo yung parang, hindi siya maganda sa paningin ko, pero maganda siya sa business kasi yung customer, mas makikita niya yung product mo.
So now, sa tingin mo ba, umabot ka na doon sa point na you know in your gut what an effective booth display looks like for you?
Yeah, meron na. Actually, pag ganun. Pero tinetest ko kasi siya for the first hour or 2 hours. So, chinecheck ko kung parang ano yung tinitingnan ng mga tao, kung paano nila hinahawakan yung mga products. So, mas inaisip ko na baka kailangan kong ilipat yung product na dito kasi hindi siya napapansin.
It's nice na pwede kang mag-adjust on the day itself. Kasi I remember we had an experience na, yun nga, naiilang sila pumasok. So, ang ginawa namin, mid-event, I think after ng first day namin, no end niya, we decided to relay out the entire thing na parang hinarap na lang namin lahat ng products. Tapos nandun na lang kami sa likod. So, wala na silang obligation, yung feeling na, kailangan pumasok pero ayoko makipag-usap. So, they're just staying in front. So, it's good that you can adjust on the fly kasi it means na na-observe mo yung buying behavior nila. Sumali na kayo, diba? You were able to choose the right event for you and you have a setup. So that's really important. As our second tip, no, you maximize your booth space for impact kasi that is really the first impression eh. Yun yung talaga yung makikita ng mga tao. You draw them in. Sabi nga ni Jacob kanina, it's very important that it's inviting and it represents your brand. Pero at the same time, functional siya kasi you as a vendor, dapat makakagalaw ka rin sa space mo eh. So that people will come into your booth. I guess isi-segue ko na siya. So, for those people na laging titingin lang, magkano to? Sige, balik ako. Ganyan. Titingin muna ako. Babalikan kita. May mga ganyan, diba? So, how do you actually convert those browsers into buyers?
Unang-una, i-read mo muna yung energy ng customer.
Okay.
Kasi
A lot of it is
iba-iba yung customers. Like, yung iba parang mas gusto nila na makipagkwentuhan, may iba na parang shy customers sila. So, make sure na yung presence mo is parang pwede kang mag-smile, i-greet mo lang sila. Pwede ka rin magsabi na feel free to browse. Then, hayaan mo lang sila na mag-browse doon. Pero, dapat attentive ka din and in-observe mo din kung ano yung kailangan niya. I-avoid mo din na mag-hard sell. Huwag mo sabihin na parang, bibilihin niyo po ba? Instead, i-turn mo siya into a story. Kasi yung mga tao, most of them, they are buying based sa emotion.
Okay.
If they are happy, inspired, or they can relate. Yun naman yung sa art of selling. Kaya normally, parang doon mo sila about sa emotion din. And gusto mo na may positive yung experience nila. Even na hindi sila bumili sa booth mo. And that's okay. That's okay. Basta maging positive lang. And they can always naman na parang bumalik or they can buy naman online.
It's nice na mention mo na yung impression, it's not just with the setup itself, but with you also as a vendor. Like how you interact with them. It's nice na you mentioned na they don't necessarily need to buy from you. But you have to make sure na if they walk away from your booth, it's still a pleasant experience. Kasi ibig sabihin, they might follow you, they might buy online kasi they remember you. Ang ganda na it's not just a sale at first glance. There's more to customer service and customer relationships that can happen in your booth. You don't necessarily have to convert everyone.
That's right.
Diba? Hindi mo kailangan ipagpilitin yung sarili mo to get a particular customer. Kasi there's like an 80-20 rule, diba? You'll get a majority of your sales and support from the 20% that are really like focused and loyal, appreciative customers for your products. Question ako for Jacob naman. I'm really curious. Ano yung mga na-observe mo, mga buying patterns naman for your market, for lots of local?
In our markets, we feature a lot of like local clothing brands or local creatives. Some people like to attend our markets because there's a brand that they follow in particular that they want to see or try on in person. Because like when you order online, it's really different compared to like trying on the piece in person or like feeling like the material and all. They check out a certain product, they try it on, and then if they really like the product, that's when they're gonna buy it. Or sometimes some people use our market as like a way to see the product, and then that's their way of like, oh, it's a showcase. They want to see this product, and then they'll think about it, and then it may eventually lead into a sale down the line online where they've like fully decided na they want to buy this product. Na. I guess that's like the best of both worlds in that sense.
When joining pop-ups or events, parang crucial din talaga na clear kung sino yung type of customer that you want to be buying from you, diba? Kasi you can't expect naman someone na kunyari, bargain hunter to really look at and buy your clothes talaga on the spot. Kasi syempre, iba yung headspace nila eh. Same with you na pupunta ka sa isang event, you won't expect na all buyers will be buying from your booth kasi not all of them are like interested in what you're selling, and that's okay, diba? You don't necessarily have to convert everyone. And you don't necessarily have to feel bad if this set of people is not your crowd or hindi sila bumili sa'yo. Because maybe okay lang talaga yun, diba? It's not for everyone, and that's okay. I guess in the topic of bili-bili na rin and pricing, how do you price your items like a pro?
Yung pricing is subjective kasi siya. Minsan, pag yung art, hindi natin alam kung paano siya ipapresyohan. Pero the common mistake there is yung mga co-artists, materials lang plus extra fee. Yun yung profit nila. That's so wrong. Sa pagpa-pricing, dapat kikita ka talaga. The computation there is dapat i-factor in mo yung mga indirect cost din, like yung pagod, yung the electricity. Also, do your research. I-check mo din kung gaano yung quality ng product mo. And that's the reason why na if you will price parang higher, make it sure na may value or mas may value yung product mo para masabi mo na premium yung product mo. You attract naman yung right buyer once na parang nilagay mo yung right na presyo dun sa product mo.
Yung sabi mo value and the price, parang a lot of it also stems from parang insecure pa sila na this is the worth of my work and this is the worth of my time. Hence, I'm charging you this much. May ano rin parang insecurity or self-esteem, parang challenges that come into play when pricing. Where is the math in that? Like, how do you hurdle that?
Before, nag-start din naman ako sa mga mababang presyo, I admit. Pero dapat gradually nagtataas ka din. Kasi
Inflation in life is real.
that's right. So dapat, kung if you really want maging sustainable yung business mo, kailangan maisip mo din yung future ng business. So, kailangan din na parang gradually tinataas mo yung price mo para makover niya yung mga expenses din. So, galing sa akin na nag-start sa mas maliit na presyo, now I know na parang confident na ako kung paano ako magpresyo. Kasi alam ko, na ang ina-attract ko dito is right buyers, not the, yung mga nag-haggle lang na So, yun. You attract naman yung right buyer once na parang nilagay mo yung right na presyo dun sa product mo.
Curious ako, do you adjust your prices per event depending on the price of the booth or the rental of the space?
Good question. Actually, yung price ko sa event, yun yung pinakamura. Mas mahal yung presyo sa mga online.
Okay.
And that's the reason why na pag nagmamarket kami, parang mas maganda na pumunta sila sa event kasi nagpamasahe na sila or nag-commute para mas mura nila. Parang yun yung isa sa mga perks na pumunta kayo in person para mas nabili nyo siya ng mas mura. Isipin mo din na parang hindi kasi mass-produce yung ginagawa mo. Hindi ka big company. So dapat mas lalo na kung handcraft siya or handmade, dapat mas malaki din yung pressure or mas higher siya. That's the reason why na dapat alam mo yung kwento behind it. Kasi doon mo madodraw yung customer kung this is a unique piece. And ang gusto ng customer is sila lang yung meron nun. That's right. Know your target audience. So parang if feeling mo parang wala ka dun sa right na market. So ibig sabihin talaga hindi talaga yung right market sa'yo. So change ka na lang ng ibang event or ibang market. So, yun lang yun.
And it's not the organizer's fault dyan. Kasi kung yung event nyo, tapos yun yung nakuha yung mga tao. Parang it's the draw of the card talaga na, okay, maybe mali yung sinalihan ko. And it's still a learning experience, diba? It's a bit more expensive. Like, it's something that you charge to experience. But again, nonetheless, for the future, alam mo na. Kasi you have the data. Or maybe, pwede mo i-backtrack na, okay, for this market, ganito yung kind ng products na ibebenta.
Actually, isa yung sa mga strategy na pwede nyo gawin na parang, halimbawa, university yung setup. So, yung dadalhin mo is yung mga mas medyo dun sa price range lang ng mga students.
Okay. That's a very good pricing strategy na sustainable for you pero at the same time, still accessible for the type of people or the type of buyers that you want to talk about. Yeah. What if, diba, there are instances talaga na sometimes sabi mo kanina, it's the lean months. Hindi siya laging Pasko. Ang question ko is, how do you bounce back from an event that really didn't turn out the way you wanted to?
Valid naman yung feeling kung feeling mo parang nasad ka dahil hindi mo nakuha yung goal mo for that event. Pero syempre, ako, personally, nagka-focus ako sa mga small wins. So, pwede ka nakagain ka ng mga followers with that event. Ibang market ang nakuha mo. Madaming factors talaga. Ang maganda doon, it's another opportunity for you to do this or yung mga na-check mo sa next na event mo. Pwedeng hindi ka na umulit, pwedeng umulit ka, pero mas better ka na. And it's a progress. And hindi mo makokontrol talaga yung outcome parate.
How do you recognize the things that you can improve on and still feel na pwede ka pa rin bumawi sa next?
Actually, madami naman ding avenues. Hindi lang talaga tayo mag-focus sa events. Maraming ways na pwede mong maisip. Mabawi yung parang hindi mo nakuha. And that's the reason why na dapat hindi lang isang basket, hindi lang event ka yung source of income ng business. Marami dapat siya. Pwede ka rin kumuha ng mga parang partner stores where you can put yung mga hindi nabili na products dun sa event. Doon mo na lang ilagay. So, maraming mga ways naman. And yun nga, at the end of the day, parang it's a learning experience. And I know naman na parang you'll grow from it. It's a growth. Just keep on moving lang talaga.
I guess yung feeling forward is really, ang pinaka-goal nun is really for improvement, no? And I guess, curious ako for Jacob, like, for the 10 events that you've been like organizing and for the future ones, how do you handle like customer feedback and get important insights from them so that you can improve for your next event?
Yeah, so on our end, the organizing side, we're obviously open to all feedback. It's something that we take delight because we think na these are things that we can touch on to help the merchant side and the customer side. Our main goal is really just to create an event where everyone's happy.
Mahirap yan, everyone's happy.
So if there's feedback that we think we could apply for the next event directly, we'll take that into consideration for sure. And we discuss it internally and try to make changes here and there just to make the general experience good for everyone.
What advice can you give like the merchants that are joining your events in terms of how do they keep growing their brand and keep elevating the type of products and the type of customer experience that they give the customers that they have?
I think a major talking point is just like to continue to innovate, like stay on top of the trend or be a trendsetter. Try to do things that are pushing the boundaries of what you think your brand can be.
If you're also a veteran maker, how else will you grow?
I would say mag-check pa ng ibang mga line-up ng products so we could try different products din na medyo fit pa rin sa brand. I would say mag-start sa pag-improve ng sistema ng business. So I think may structure na siya. Before, sinusulat lang namin yung mga sales eh. So last year, we started using a POS. So mas nakatulong siya matrack yung mga sales. Mas makikita mo na kung kumikita ka or hindi. And pagdating sa event, I would say parang medyo suntok pa sa buwan. Pero I would love talaga na mag-join sa mga other international conventions. I'm thinking na sana mas may exhibit siya outside Philippines.
Siguro, question lang for the both of you is like, nasa topic na rin naman tayo of growth. How do you see your brands and your events growing?
Hope ko na sana yung brand nandyan pa din. Kung hindi man, parang mag-give birth siya sa ibang art. As an artist naman, I'm flexible naman to do something else, not just to make an stationary products.
Initially, what we want to do in the near future is just reach a wider audience, just to give the people who join our events a bigger platform. We want to showcase what the local scene has to offer. And then in the long run, I guess it's just to work with more brands. We want to have a bigger variety of who we work with, or like if there are up-and-coming brands that want to showcase their products on a wider scale. We want to be the avenue for them to do that.
Thank you. Actually, ang galing nun kasi, di ba, for makers, it's always hard to look for a place na you can showcase your work. Pag pop-up, lagi kang, that's why you're popping up. Like, parang it feels like you're not as rooted kasi you're always like here and here and here. So, like, events, like lots of lokal na parang you're really creating a good platform for particular type of makers and brands. Nakakakampante na parang, I have a place, like I have a space for my product. If you're talking to someone who is considering of joining, what's your last piece of advice for them?
It's okay not to know everything or to start on something. So, take your time, mag-research ka muna, then, start small. Gradually, pag naniniwala ka naman sa proseso and sa art mo, it will grow someday.
I guess on my end, like if you're looking forward to join an event, don't be afraid to make mistakes because it's a learning process. There's gonna be things that you pick up on as you continue to join events and so on and so forth. So don't be afraid, take the risk.
If they're looking to find you, where can they buy your stuff? Where can they find you?
Hello, our next event will be Comiket sa April. And also, kung gusto niyo bumili ng mga products namin, we have online shops sa Studio Dondon. At check nyo na lang po yung Instagram namin. Also, you can check our partner stores, Common Room.
We have an upcoming event on March 8 to 9, and this will be a partnership event with Studio Akal, who we've partnered with in the past. It'll be here also in Makati. If you're free that weekend, we'd love for you to drop by and see some of our local brands and creatives.
Ayun, thank you. So that wraps up our episode. Sana marami kayong natutunan. And if you are still considering if you should join that pop-up, try it na. Kasi I think that's really the best way to learn, diba? Try and experiment, iterate, learn your customers, learn the best way to price your products, learn the best way to display your products and build relationships. And we're really excited to see how you will fare in your next event. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you're curious to see yung mga different makers that we have, you can visit any of our 5 branches. We have one in Power Plant Mall, Alabang Town Center, UP Town Center, Ayala Balls, Manila Bay, and of course here in my studio, Atrium of Makati. See you!